college football. We are in the full swing of things.
Oh my lord!
What a week!
I mean,
what a week!
We are only a couple weeks away from conference championships.
Oh god!
Not AP polls. The college football playoff rankings come out next week.
Yep.
And so this is the last week we get to review the AP polls.
Yeah.
They'll still come out. They still come out, but no one really just gives a
cares
about
at all
anymore because, it's the AP poll. It's not the college football rankings. But this is all we have to go off for now, and there's a lot of material to discuss.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll just run through the top 10, throw out a couple interesting things, and then just hear the initial reactions because I have quite a few thoughts. I thought this was probably the worst poll I've seen. They have not Georgia. That's what I want. They have Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Penn State, Ohio State. Miami moves into the top 5, jumping Texas. Texas at 6, Tennessee 7, Notre Dame slides up 4 spots to the 8, BYU 9, and Texas A&M 10, kicking Clemson out of the top 10. They're at 11, tied with Iowa State. So, I guess Ryan, first initial thoughts here. We'll throw the graphic up so you can see all the teams. But what did you feel about this?
My gnarliest thing is I feel like nothing makes any sense. I don't know. Everything on my brain just scrambled. Miami at 5
is wild.
They're locked in now.
No, that means they're officially a playoff
They're locked in the
team.
playoffs.
Yeah. It's impossible for them to drop 8 spots unless they lose a game before the conference championship. Yeah, that locking them in as the pretty much could be 2 ACC teams makes it very higher that there's going to be 2 ACC teams.
There's 100% going to be 2 ACC teams.
Unless something happens with Clemson or they get blown out by Miami in the conference, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Locking that in is crazy. And then just Texas, should they be at 5 was my...
6.
6. Should they be at 6 was my other question.
Well, I don't even...
That game was wild.
Look, I'm fine with Texas being out of the top 5. I don't think that we deserve to be in the top 5 after last week.
Fair.
Yeah, of course not.
Here's my thing.
No logical human would think you'd be a top 5 team.
I kind of agree with that, especially the way that we've looked the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a given.
Okay, can you let me talk
for
for
a
a second?
Of course, go ahead. I was just saying.
I genuinely don't understand how Notre Dame moves up 4 spots. They beat Navy, who is 23, right? So, and obviously,
big win.
And Navy is a now unranked team after that game. Yeah. So they ranked that super, super high, but we went to Vandy, won against a ranked Vandy at the time, but they give us no credit and actually discredit us and move us down.
Do you want to know the
I just
reason?
don't understand the logic on that.
Reason?
Yes, please.
What's Notre Dame's best one? What is Notre Dame's best one?
A&M.
Correct.
Week 1.
They are now A&M's now a top 10 team. They're the only team to beat A&M, and they handled them in A&M. And A&M's looking like one of the best teams in college football. So that win carries so much more strength now. That's your answer combined with beating Navy.
But shouldn't that have been shown in weeks previous?
No, because you find more out about the team.
Yeah,
it's the same thing Mario said last week, where if you beat Michigan, right, who's ranked 5 preseason, but then they go drop 3 games by week 7, that win doesn't mean as much. But going into A&M week 1, they're like, oh, maybe A&M's not that good. They ran off 7 straight, are first in the SEC, and you're like all of a sudden.
And A&M just got a big win against LSU, who was ranked 8 at the time.
I understand.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, get BYU the fuck out of there.
Really?
BYU's crazy.
Because they control their own destiny. Get them out and then put them in when they just win. When they win out in the conference championship,
this is getting really dangerous territory
disgusting.
for having 2 Big 12 teams
if they both go undefeated.
With Iowa State and BYU both top 11.
Yeah.
And they don't play each other.
No, they don't play each other. They'll probably play each other in the conference championship.
And that's going to be ridiculous that two of them could get in. If they're if one of them, if it's 6-8 or 6-9 somehow, and they both get in, I'll really just go off.
Yeah, Mario, I wanted to hear your initial thoughts. Then I had a couple things I wanted to say on what jumped out to me.
Yeah, you guys already touched on everything that I was already thinking. And that coupled with how they just keep fucking Clemson around. It's just it doesn't make any sense.
Clemson around there.
Clemson was solidified at 10 for 2 weeks.
Went to 9.
And then initially they put Iowa State
with the bye week. It's every week we have a bye, we drop 2 spots.
Yeah, they put Iowa State ahead of you guys.
And then flip-flop.
And then they just move them back even though you guys both win. And then nothing happens and they're like, hey, let's kick them both out. It's just I don't know what's going on with these rankings. I'm
not as worried about the Clemson ranking because the rest of our schedule is really where all the games are. Our wins so far have been whatever, they're fine. Florida State was supposed to be a hard game. We obviously know that was a cakewalk now. But we get, in Louisville and then we play Pitt. So those are kind of the games. If you beat those, you'll be, a 9 seed until you play Miami in the ACC championship. A couple things I wanted to point out. Pitt at 18 is criminal. That's the worst ranking I think I've seen on this entire list. They're 7-0. They blew out Syracuse last week, who was receiving votes in the poll at 27th overall, so they were 2 spots out of the top 25. They don't move at all, and Boise State is above them? How? Boise State hasn't beat one ranked team. They won against UNLV last, which is their best win, and then they lose, they've lost to Oregon. So I guess that, their loss is better than
3-point loss.
a 3-point loss. I guess
number one.
If you can count that as a win, I guess it's kind of helping them.
Yeah, it is helping them a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just you look at the wins of these teams. BYU, I kind of understand why they're top 10 because they've actually beat a few good teams. Iowa State, on the other hand, not really beat anyone. To have Iowa State 7 spots ahead of Pitt when Pitt is actually beat teams that are they beat multiple teams with 5+ wins going into week 7 or week 8. It's kind of crazy to me. Kansas State being ahead of SMU is weird. Kansas State lost by 29 to BYU. SMU lost by 3 to BYU. Kansas State almost lost to Kansas last week, while SMU
electric.
beat 6-1 Duke in overtime. I know it was a closer game than the spread, but they still played, a 1-loss team. They played a shared opponent, and somehow Kansas State's ahead of them. Illinois being ranked is fucking nuts. First off,
that's
I love it. No, I love it.
It's fun.
Only 2 losses up to 1 and 3.
I get the Missouri thing. I'm also going to touch on next because that's a weird one at 25. But Illinois at 24 makes less sense to me than even the Pitt ranking bad because Illinois has no ranked wins, a 29-point loss to Oregon, 14-point loss to Penn State, beat a 2-6 Kansas team by 6 at home, and then a 1-point overtime win against 1-6 Purdue.
Another great win.
So I have no fucking clue how
yeah,
this team's ranked at all.
I've been
They
convinced.
just came out of nowhere.
I'm convinced 24 through 27 they pick out of the hat every week and just mix it up.
I could
because they know it's going to change every week. Vanderbilt.
I'd rather have
I
Memphis.
love that they have Colorado in there, though.
Colorado at 23
Oh,
is
God.
electric. They actually deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking Colorado,
Yeah.
in the next video, but yeah, that's a great point. Colorado at 23, they've already hit their season win total,
Yeah.
which is
absurd.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Shador's balling.
Shador.
We'll have the Colorado conversation later, and then
Missouri.
last thing, like I said, Missouri being ranked, I think is just SEC bias.
Yeah.
Lost to A&M by 31, Bama by 34 last week. 4-point win over
That's-
3-5 Auburn, and then their other wins are Buffalo, UMass, Boston College, and Murray State. So Missouri has not beat f***ing anybody
That's
this year,
awful.
and they've gotten blown out by any ranked team they played. And like you said earlier, the top 5 basically just locks them in. Like I think everyone in the top
Yeah.
5 should have over a 90-95% chance to make the playoffs.
Except for Ohio State. They're the only one that's actually the one that's a weird one.
They lose to Penn State. I think they're still in. They end the season 10. They end
It
10
gets a
and 2.
little
gets
dicey.
scary.
It gets a little
Nah,
dicey.
they put in a 10-2 Ohio State.
How you doing?
How you
know what I'm saying?
What?
That would be crazy.
If Ohio State lost to Penn State,
If
it'd get really interesting.
but then if Indiana's only loss comes to Ohio State because they play each other, then what do? You're gonna
Ohio
put
State
in
gets
2
in.
losses,
Ohio State gets in.
even though they lost.
Yeah,
to
their
the
only
other team?
losses would be to 1 and 2 because they'd have Penn State go from 3 to 2 probably, or 1 and 3.
And Indiana's only loss would be to Ohio. It would be the head-to-head wouldn't even matter.
I think the head-to-head would matter. Ohio State would get in over Indiana.
I'm saying if they played and Ohio State lost Indiana.
Oh well,
So
if
it's
Ohio
like-
State loses 3 games.
No. Say they beat Penn State and then lose to Indiana, so Indiana gets to go to the conference championship. Ohio State doesn't, and you know.
It depends how they play in the conference
Yeah,
championship.
this thing's moving. Not that I want
No,
it.
there might be a lot of Big Ten teams.
see
that-
every equation.
I see every equation.
Yeah, but no, those are
Holy
the things
shit.
that really stuck out to me. I thought, I'm actually really excited for the college football playoff rankings.
Oh, it's gonna be.
because,
This episode's gonna be crazy because
I'm
they're gonna
so-
do some fucked up shit.
I'm
I
so
guarantee.
sick of these rankings just
being
being
so accurate.
random.
Not making any
Also,
sense.
Yeah.
wait, you know what I just realized?
Hmm.
Is that we film on Mondays, but the college
Nice.
football
They-
college football playoff rankings come out
only
on
6
Tuesday,
months
so
in.
we're not going to be able to talk about it
We'll find a way.
next. All right, we'll figure
We'll
out
always
a way.
find a way.
We'll
Yeah,
find
we'll
a way.
figure out a way.
We'll find a way.
All right.
Spliggity splock.
Maybe we do our Michael rankings before the college football playoffs come out.
I love
Like
rankings.
we give you the
God.
Michael college football rankings, and then we just post that before the actual college football playoff rankings. Come
It's
out.
not going to be accurate, I'll tell you that.
I mean, Mike, who is your number 1 team right now?
Yeah.
What was that noise?
Yeah.
That's not a team.
I have to say Oregon.
I mean, that makes sense.
I was
They-
expecting an exciting
they
No, I
deserve
have
season
to
there.
say Oregon.
They deserve it.
Yeah,
that's
they
true.
do deserve it.
They
We'll see
definitely
where they
deserve
go.
it.
We'll
Yeah.
see if they sneak Georgia in when the college comes out.
Does anyone think, just quickly, LSU still has a shot at the college football playoffs?
Yes.
no,
'cause of
after
how high
they
they
got-
ranked them.
That's
But
what I
how badly they
okay.
got beat.
Well,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
I was
How
gonna
high
s-
they ranked us? Yeah, we do have a very
No two-loss
No.
team should be that high.
when I
That's
looked
absurd.
at it, I was like,
Unless you beat a
they're
top
keeping them
3
at
team.
16. I mean,
Like Bama, I understand.
Yeah,
They beat
good stuff.
the second
they're
best team in
keeping
the
them at
country.
I've won that.
They're
16.
keeping us at 16. dude.
16 is right in the striking
No, that's
range.
absurd.
It is right in the striking range.
Terrible.
Wow.
Are you
We're
worried at
The
all,
Viper.
Mike, about your Texas A&M matchup? I know it's not a Texas show, but I'm looking
Yeah.
at A&M at 10 in the rankings. That quarterback just came in and started playing for him.
No, 100%. Yeah, I think A&M is going to be a really,
Is it
really
at
tough way to
A&M?
end our season.
Yes.
Yeah. It's at College Station.
I think A&M might be favored.
Yeah, I
when they
would.
play.
I think
No,
they'll
no.
be favored by.
I can tell you
a
why
point and
that's
a
not going to
half.
happen because they're 2-point favorites against South Carolina this upcoming week.
Well, it depends
So
on
they
how.
know
it
that
depends,
Texas
it
A&M
depends on
South
how.
Carolina, but they know.
A night game in South Carolina is a lot different than a night game in
Texas
A&M.
is 6.5-point favorites in that game.
It,
No. No.
I wouldn't be
I can call
surprised.
it right now. Texas will be favored 2.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be under a field goal in either direction.
Yeah, I would say depending on how we play, like if we win by less than 18 in the following 3 weeks, I would say that
I mean,
A&M
you barely
will,
deserve to win by any points.
I think
last week.
A&M will be favored by one.
I feel like we're talking too much
going
about
in.
Texas. You know what I mean?
Well,
No,
he's
more
just
anxiety.
the Texas guy.
Like they
I
haven't
mean,
done anything yet. Let's wait till they do something.
It's
we'll
kind of
talk about
fun
them.
to see Texas at 6. They just bumped them out of the top 5. They have
No,
a
we don't
game-
deserve to
they
be
have
in the
it- Well,
top
I'm
five.
just saying they have a game against A&M. You lose that, you have a worse SEC record as a
I mean,
two-loss
hey,
team than LSU.
Get
Week
them
by
out of
week, baby. Come on, week by week.
Week by week, yeah.
Week by week.
All right, fair is
brick
fair.
by brick.
Fair.
Brick by brick. Well, yeah, there you have
Mike's
it.
bricked up.
AP poll rankings. These guys,
I mean-
they kind of do whatever they want.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know who
that's
votes
so
on these.
true.
We need to vote.
They just
No,
click
I've
We
done
need
it.
a DGen Hours AP poll. We need to create our own rankings.
I wonder how much traction that would get.
No, I'm saying we need to vote in the poll.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like we
give
need to
us
join
a
the
single
AP,
vote.
the
Oh.
Associated Press.
We'd never be
I-
able to agree, but we'd get something done.
I'm associated.
with what?
The press.
Oh,
God.
What press are
Jesus
you
Christ.
associated with?
I don't know. I'm sure I
He's
can
getting
find
pressed.
yeah.
One. Whoa, that's timeout. Flag on the field.
No
whistle
flags.
blow.
No flags. No flags. You're not blowing
This is
anything
the Saints
around here.
Rams games. No flag, baby.
College football playoff
Pick up the
rankings
flag.
next week. We're gonna get you a college football playoffs ranking episode, and then from there on, we're cooking. End of the season, college football's
yeah.
wrapping up.
Chefing it
Stay
up.
locked in. Let us know what you think. Let us know who is ranked too high and who should be the number 1 team. We will see you next week.